Vegeta, one of the most prominent characters in the Dragon Ball series today, but a character that actually has a very mysterious past. Although we know a lot about what Vegeta has gone through from the time that he's gone to planet Earth, we actually don't know a lot about Vegeta's life before, or certain aspects of Vegeta's life that are very mysterious throughout the series. And joining me today is JaxBlade, as we're going to be talking about Vegeta's biggest mysteries in the Dragon Ball series, and things that we just never knew about his character. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. So the first mystery we have to discuss here is dealing with Vegeta's mother. Now, when you look at the Dragon Ball series and when you look at a lot of the specials and information that we've gotten so far, obviously if there's a King Vegeta and you have a Prince Vegeta, and when you also factor in that Goku's mother is Gine to Bardock, you have to think that Vegeta did have a mother in the Dragon Ball franchise that was at least a prominent character in Saiyan society. Even if she wasn't a fighter or very important, she was the woman of King Vegeta, even less he wanted to spend his time sharing his seeds with multiple women. But the point is that if Vegeta's mother was the mother of both Vegeta and now Tarble, now that more Dragon Ball information has come out, you'd have to think that his mother must have been an important character throughout Saiyan society as possibly Queen Vegeta.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, she should probably be one of the most ones that, like, it's sad to think that Vegeta never talks about it. He always talks about, my father was this way, and then we never see her in any of the flashbacks or any of the little things that, like, they always have these little tidbits back to, oh, Vegeta, this is why our Saiyan race is so proud and prideful. And then there's a certain, like, flashback scenes where Vegeta's talking about, oh, well, this is why I'm like this, and this is why the Saiyan race is so great. So that's just one thing I always thought was a bit off.
Absolutely, man, but obviously women aren't as prominent in Saiyan culture, especially in Universe 7, so it's clearly understanding why they didn't go into her character, but it is curious to know who she would have been as one.
Right, exactly, I agree.
But moving on to the next point, what do you got for us here today, Jax?
Oh, well, obviously, to go off of, Vegeta not knowing his mother, like, what was Vegeta's childhood like? I mean, when he was a little kid, it was also a little fun fact is Vegeta's hair it completely changed from when he was a kid to an adult, and they made a big deal about that, like, oh, a true Saiyan's hair does not change from the moment he was born, but he used to have these little bangs and stuff when he was a little kid, but then, what, did he cut his hair into that, iconic widow's peak he has today? So I always thought that was funny, like, how they did that, but in some flashbacks, like in the Battle of Gods movie, they just showed him as a kid with his adult haircut, but in Super they fixed that, and then in every other flashback of Kid Vegeta they always show him with those bangs. So I just thought that was really interesting. And then of course, how did King Vegeta rise to power? That's another thing, like, through his childhood. But how did King Vegeta just decide, you know what, I'm going to be the king out of all you guys? I mean, like, there could be someone who has a power level of, oh, you may have a power level of 10,000, but I have a power level of 9,900. So I'm pretty sure, like, with my skills, I could beat you or some crap. Like it's funny to think in a rowdy, rough bunch like the Saiyans that they would just go, yeah, I'll follow this one guy. Yeah, I'll follow this one guy. Like, it's insane to believe. But what do you think about that?
Right, and if I were to add to what you're saying there, Jax, King Vegeta is a character who was said throughout the series that he was the one who rose the Saiyans above the Tuffles, if you want to use more offhanded information. It is curious to see how Kid Vegeta was born into the Saiyan society when it would have been closer to its more primitive age, and definitely before it had contact with Frieza's empire and obviously the whole interplanetary trade. But to move on to the next point here, Jax, this is actually going back towards Trunks and Vegeta, and I think one of the biggest questions out there is, what was Vegeta's training like with Trunks back in Dragon Ball Z when they went into the hyperbolic time chamber? And if you guys remember, the manga and the anime went out of its way to show a lot of training sequences between Goku and Gohan, how Goku used the ascended form, how Gohan went Super Saiyan if you want to go with the anime adaptation. And the interesting thing is that when you compare this to Trunks, we literally saw almost nothing about their training except for that one flashback where, Trunks was scared about Vegeta training all the way by himself. And it makes you wonder that if Trunks somehow got this deep connection to Vegeta afterwards, where, obviously he respected his father's wishes to not show off his power in front of him, and the fact that it's implied that they might not have trained with each other, it makes you wonder what went on in there, especially as Vegeta was saying our training is to never be discussed in the series. So I think the training sequence between Vegeta and Trunks is definitely something that has puzzled the fans of a lot of Dragon Ball fans.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I mean, it was nice that in one of the Budokai Tenkaichi games, they actually had like a little thing where you get to be Trunks and spar with Vegeta in the hyperbolic time chamber during the story mode. So, yeah, it's funny to me to seeing that little backstory of how they trained together. Though I wonder how he went about it. Like, I feel like Trunks was just sitting off on the corner by himself, and then Vegeta was like, "Hey, boy, come here. I need you to help me with something." And so, like, that's how I honestly just feel that would have went.
Especially when you consider the fact that, I mean, if they trained together, they could have maximized their power a lot faster instead of training by themselves. So, the Vegeta Trunks training is something I've always been interested in. But what's your next point, Mr. JaxBlade?
So, do you guys think Vegeta was, a virgin before he met Bulma? Because me personally, I've always been along the lines thinking that Vegeta, when he was a young boy, he always went around through planets destroying stuff, and just after he would hook up with some alien girls with Nappa, whatever, then destroy the planet and leave or something like that. I always had that mentality. And then the fact that him and freaking Nappa were talking about, like, well, when we breed with Earthlings, our abilities, like, will be greatly enhanced. So they talked like they knew about breeding. So I just was wondering, like, did he, Vegeta smash a bit before he hooking up with Bulma? And then, of course, the Team 4-star joke of, like, my room 10 minutes. I feel that is so freaking accurate. I honestly feel that was just so accurate. But what do you think?
Why is that?
It feels like, all right, you have two-headed people. You have two people who just butt heads with everyone they're against. They're just, like, strong-willed. And it's just, I feel that would eventually happen, just like, fuck you. Fuck you. No, fuck you. My room, 10 minutes. And I feel like that actually is canon. I don't care what anyone says. That to me is canon.
And the biggest question is, there's always this thing about the reason why Bulma and Yamcha broke up. It's implied in the show that Yamcha cheated on Bulma, but do you think at one point Bulma cheated back on Yamcha?
Oh, do you think Bulma cheated back on Yamcha? Well, like, honestly, Bulma was a bit of a, slut as a little girl, so I feel like she obviously hooked up. I mean, you guys, it's not even like king shaming or anything if I say that, because she did so much stuff openly that I feel like, yeah, she definitely, has her own things. And Yamcha has freaking Puars who can change into anything. So there you go. So that's all I'm saying.
I always kind of wonder that whole thing between Bulma and Yamcha too, because it's like, although Yamcha is implied to cheat on Bulma, it's like, Bulma could easily cheat on him. I mean, she's rich and she's hot. It would be a lot easier for her than it would be for him. But ultimately, Jax, I think the number one mystery that we have to know about Vegeta that Yosun Goku and his friends return brought up is dealing with Tarble. Now, if in theory Tarble still exists and he just wasn't mentioned in Super, similar to how Tights just came out of nowhere for the Jocko the Galactic Patrolman manga, and then eventually just ended up in Super, it makes you wonder, Jax, if Tarble does exist, where the hell was he throughout Vegeta's life when they were just saying he was just casted away because he was weak? And at what point did this happen before the whole Frieza genocide of Planet Vegeta? Like, I think that's a very big unanswered question.
It doesn't make any sense, because he'd just be like, when he was looking at Raditz, like, get owned on Earth, he could be like, you know what? I could probably try to get that weakling, but I don't even know if he's alive right now. So that's the only way to justify it. But yeah, that makes such a valid point. Did he get sent off before he became, like before he got married to that plant girl or whatever he got married to? Like,
especially if you're Saiyan royalty, you know what I mean?
Exactly. He's probably sleeping right next to Broly and Goku when you think about it.
Exactly. So, although we know a lot about him, we really don't know a lot about him. And I do think that if you were to ever do a story of Vegeta going to Universe 6 to find out more about their Saiyans or to have a Vegeta backstory, I think you could go and have a lot of material with that, because there's just a lot of unanswered questions about Vegeta's past, especially when you factor in that Beerus was a small part of his childhood too. So I definitely think that all of this stuff can be answered in the future.
Yep, exactly. I completely agree, Quinn, Detective Q.
Alrighty guys, so please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys. And don't forget to check out my boy JaxBlade in the description. And Jax, what do you think Vegeta was doing with Bulma that one night?
Well, what do you know? He was giving her the Saiyan power. He was giving her the Big Bang, if you know what I mean.
The Gallic Gun, the Final Flash.
Oh, she gave him a Final Flash.
The dirty fireworks, you know what I mean? Vegeta's, all of his moves are sex moves. Big Bang Attack, Gallic Gun, Final Flash, dirty fireworks. Final Shine Attack.
Every time he does it, Bulma's just like, oh. Oh God.